What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. Let me get to the spot. Hey, everybody, what is going on? This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. And today is Thoughtful Thursdays. Yes, it is. And I've got a question for you. What level are you seeking? We're going to discuss that here on Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan Your Greatness channel. Hey, we are back. We are back. We are back. We are here on Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan Your Greatness channel. And we are asking the question today. We are asking, what level are you seeking? Now, I was reading something the other day, and I came across this term where they say water seeks its level. So I had to do a little bit of research, and it just came down to this. It says that gas rises, so gas will try to always reach its level up higher, and water sinks. So water is typically going to try to seek a level that's lower than itself. All right, so with that understanding, it brought me to mind of a conversation that I just recently had with my little brother. Now, we were talking because he had reached out to me. There was somebody that had recently been working at the plant that he works at. Now, this is a plant that has been connected with our family for decades. My father worked there for 41 years. My brother, one of my older brothers has been there for, I don't know, 18, 19 years or something like that. And then my little brother's been there for 20 plus years. So our family has a history, and I have a nephew that works there. So our family has been at this place forever. But this individual that we were talking about, that my brother reached out to me and wanted to share with me what was going on. This individual had been on the list to work there. You get yourself on this list, and he started working part-time. They start sending him random shifts, and he had been doing this for, I don't know, like a year and a half. And then finally he moved up to part-time status. So for the next maybe year and a half, he was working part-time, getting more shifts, making a little bit more money, getting some overtime. So he was moving his way up. And then just recently, my little brother told me, he said, hey, this guy got on full time. He wasn't at the initial plant. He was at one of the other plants in the area, but he got on full time. And I was like, oh my God, because my dad worked there for 41 years. And by the time that my dad took that bailout money and everything back in 2008, my dad was making close to $100,000 a year. That's pretty good for somebody that doesn't have a high school education. My brother makes about 160. He's the plant electrician. He does not have a high school diploma. My little brother, who I was been talking to, makes about 140. He's a crane operator, no high school diploma. My nephew, who works there, makes about 80 or 90,000, I think closer to $90,000 a year, and he doesn't have a high school diploma. This is a great job for an area which is very blue collar. The area that I grew up in is not a very highly skilled and highly educated area. So we were so excited about this person getting a job there. Then I get this text message from my brother, and he wants to chat with me, and he says, hey, he said, you know so-and-so. I'm not going to say his name. He said, you know so-and-so. I said, yeah. He said, he just reached out to me to let me know that he's no longer working at the plant. And I was like, I paused for a second, but then I thought, and I text my brother back, I was talking to him on the phone, and I said, water seeks its own level. And my brother was like, what are you talking about? I said, well, water tries to find its most comfortable level which with gas, it's higher, with water, it's lower. And I'm using that metaphor as far as with this individual who had been struggling, working just random shifts. Then he gets to part-time. Then he actually gets a position that's full-time. But within a month or a couple of months, he's right back to minimum wage. Why is that? And I said to my brother, water seeks its own level. At a very unconscious level, and this is something that I knew because this was a part of my DNA at some particular time, that he is most comfortable in that state. And I talked about this yesterday on Woke Wednesday. Are you comfortable in your uncomfortableness? This individual is very comfortable in that uncomfortable state of not having enough money, just barely enough to get by. And this opportunity would have taken him out of that space with benefits, with income. It would have allowed him to do it. It would have allowed him to purchase a home. It would have changed his life. But some people are just not in a capacity. They are very unconsciously motivated to stay in that space. And so he was seeking where he felt more comfortable. Because what was happening, what I was explaining to my brother, what was happening, because I know this happened to me, what's happening is you are moving out of your comfort zone. You are moving to a level that you're not. That's why water seeks its most comfortable level. And using that as a metaphor with this individual, he feels more comfortable in that lower level. Now, I bring that up as I was sharing this conversation with my brother. I bring this up because it reminds me of what happened when I went to prison. Because before I got into prison, I had been a professional baseball player. But once that career ended, all I saw myself was back very much at the very beginning before I started playing professional baseball, which I had nothing. I had no education, no anything. So unconsciously, I started doing things. I started behaving. I started ruining my academic career. I started ruining my relationships. I started ruining employment, which was going to put me in that struggling position where I was much more comfortable. And then I ended up taking it further by committing a crime and getting myself locked up. And then at that point, I looked around and I said, wait a minute. This cannot be for me. I cannot be on this water level seeking my lowest position. So in prison, I began to examine myself. I began to examine, what am I doing? What am I thinking about myself? What am I thinking about the opportunities that I have? What abilities do I have? And are those abilities going to be able to affect my situation through my mind and through my actions? I really had to give myself this examination. And when I did that, immediately I started reading a lot. I started writing in my journal. I started taking college courses. I started taking counseling classes. And I did one of these things as I copied something from a book that I read. And that was the autobiography of Malcolm X. Now, it's not stated in the book. I don't recall it stated in the book. But somewhere in literature, it is said that Malcolm X read the entire dictionary. And more specifically, he went through starting at all the A's. I think the first word in there was aardvark when they showed it in the movie. But Malcolm went from that word all the way to the Z's, and he wrote the word down, wrote its correct spelling, wrote its phonetic spelling, wrote whether it was a adjective, a noun, a verb, and then he wrote the definition, and then he wrote it out into a sentence. He did that for every single word in the dictionary. Now imagine, because when Malcolm got out, he was one of the most sought after speakers once he started taking the stance and being the spokesman for the growth of the Nation of Islam. They started wanting to hear him speak because he was speaking on all sorts of topics. He could hold his own in any arena. Now just imagine how powerful you would be in conversations if you had taken the time, and Malcolm was in for 7 years, if you took that time to learn and read every word in the dictionary. Now, what I did, I didn't get that intense, but what I did was Every book that I got a hold of that I was reading, if I came across a word that I did not know, what I did was I then would put the book to the side. I would look up that word, and then I would do what Malcolm did. I wrote the word out. I wrote its American spelling. Then I wrote down its Latin or phonetic spelling or its Afrocentric spelling. Then I wrote whether it was of a noun, verb, an adjective, an adverb. Then I wrote down the definition, and then I wrote it into a sentence. And so I had accumulated a small a small dictionary, but it was enough to empower me as I kept reading more and more books. I don't know how many books Malcolm read in prison, but I read hundreds. And so every book that I read, my vocabulary was getting built upon because I was coming across words that I didn't know. And then I was learning other words just by context clues of other things. But I began that process, which took me to a different mindset, a different frequency, a different vibration, and a different belief system. And once I did that, now let's go back to the very question of Thoughtful Thursdays. What level are you seeking? Because what was happening is I was allowing myself to seek a lower level, which I did, getting incarcerated. But now I was very intentional on reaching a higher level. So every book I read, every time I wrote in my journal, every college course I took, every counseling class, every time I just sat and meditated and examined everything, because every 3 months I would do a quick examination of where I was and was I moving forward. So I was able to kind of track my progress. So every time I did that, I was seeking a higher level. And if you are in that space, if you stop allowing yourself to be lowered either by just the way you've looked at your past or other people's expectations, if you just say each and every day, I'm going to try to do something, read a little bit more, listen to a podcast, something that's going to move me. I'm going to actually just sit and think about goals. Because I've mentioned this before. I said, if you want to get yourself out of a funk, to me, the quickest way to do that is to think something massive that you want to do. Because you can't sit in just pain and being depressed and then think of something that you want to accomplish that's just superly crazy big. Like I want to learn how to fly planes. I don't, but I'm just saying that's a thought. You're sitting here depressed about your life, but you say, you know what? I want to be a commercial pilot someday. That's a big, giant thought. You can't hold being depressed and thinking about yourself flying in the clouds all at the same time. So if you are doing that, if you are taking the time to be very intentional about what level you are seeking, you are absolutely on your path to planning your greatness. All right. So on this Thoughtful Thursday, this is your call to action. Okay. And this is in alignment with kind of with yesterday, as far as being comfortable in your uncomfortableness. I want you to think about a goal. And then I want you to say to yourself, is it possible? And the answer is going to be, of course, the answer is going to be yes, because it is possible. I didn't say you're going to tell yourself you're going to do it. I just want you to say to yourself, is it possible? Then I want you to think about it and see if it really excites you. And more than likely it is. Even if you just say basically, I want to get a brand new car, that'll excite you. But what I want you to really think about is I want you to really think about something that scares you. That if you go, oh my God, that would change my life. That's what I want you to think about. I don't want you to just think of something that's going to excite you. I want you to think of something that is going to scare you. And that's what I want you to focus on as far as your call to action. Think of something that's going to excite you and then really scare you. And I want you to hold that thought. All right. So make sure you are hitting the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Make sure you are hitting that notification bell. And we are also on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. I'm posting on a regular basis. And then that information usually flows right into my Facebook page. So if you're on any of those platforms, you're going to catch me. And I want to give you guys, give you a heads up. I am in the process of getting the book, Plan Your Greatness, Success Principles for Life, Love, and Business After Sports and Prison. I'm in the process of getting that thing edited, getting it uploaded, and having it available on Kindle and then on the paperback shelves on Amazon. So hopefully within the next month, I could get this thing published and get it up there. So I'm just kind of give everybody a heads up because I'm gonna have a, I don't know if I want to have a book signing party or whatever like that, but it's just going to be exciting to get that up and available to everybody who's been following me. And so as I will leave you, as I always leave you every single day, and that is plan your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will. I will see you all next Thursday. I'm Plan Your Greatness, the Thoughtful Thursday channel. You guys take care, and I will see you, or you will hear me then.